Hello everybody, Glass Half Dead here. Today we are doing a battle report, my very first one for elites. So the format's going to be pretty simple. I'm going to show off the up here the kill teams. We've got Space Marines against Tyranids. I'm just going to tell you what we're playing. We are playing. I don't have my elites rulebook to hand, and I'm an idiot, so I didn't take any pictures. But we're playing I think it's called the Ultima mission from elites. It suggests that you play at 125, but we were only playing at 100. The way it works is there is a central objective. You have to hold that objective to then be able to score a victory point per every other objective that you are holding. So you hold the central, and if you have a single model that's securing one other objective, you would score one VP, even though you're holding two. If you have you get it. It's quite a cool mission actually. I like the idea. I like the concept. So that's cool. That's why we played it. Also because we randomly rolled. Right. Let's have a look. Oh, also just a quick note as well. Um, I was originally going to do this entire video sped up, and I will do that in the future, where I'm going to take my 45-minute game and shrink it to 15 minutes and just really quickly bash out a video report. But I felt that because this was the very first one for elites, and so I just have a lot of things to say, and I don't really know when else to say them. I figured I'd put them into this. So if I'm not talking about the game, I'm just telling you my general thoughts about things, elites, etc. Anyway, let's go over my Adeptus Astartes kill team. First thing to note, uh, they are currently in the point of I am just blocking in the primary colours on them. They're going to be orange and black, obviously with that beige highlight on the cloth. These are not finished. Please do not critique the paint, is all I'm saying. Right. Okay, I should use my mouse. Right. Okay, we have two Stern Guards, just regular Stern Guard veterans with special issue bolters. For those of you unaware, special... Man, you know what? I'm just gonna run through these and then talk about how cool the guns are in the actual thing because I've got 45 minutes to kill. So we've got two Stern Guard veterans. We've got an Eliminator. We've got... Okay, so this is a Stern Guard veteran model, but I'm proxying him in as a heavy grav guy. He's also a comms in this particular mission. This guy is a Vanguard veteran sergeant. He doesn't actually have a backpack. He does have a relic blade, and he does have a grav pistol. And this is the leader here. He has an Auspex. He's a Stern Guard veteran sergeant with Auspex for 1 point, and although he's modeled with a Storm Bolter, he actually has the special issue bolter. This is who I'm up against. These are 4 lictors. Oh, also I'm a salamander. These are salamanders. That's what I'm running them as for the sub faction because I think salamanders is awesome. These guys are being run as, I believe, Jormungandr. So they always count as obscure, whatever that thing is. They always count as obscured if they've moved under half their movement. No, they always count as obscured as long as they don't advance, I believe. And it's just 4 standard lictors. I believe one's a scout, one's a... What's the word? Combat. I don't know what the other one is. I don't think it became relevant. And that's it. We're going to go into the main thing now, where I'm just going to talk for the next 45 minutes, because that's the thing, I guess. Roll. Oh, also, first we're going to get my intro, and then also like, subscribe. Oh, yeah, great. And at this point, I'm telling my opponent that I won't actually be you guys, the audience, won't actually be able to hear audio, which I think is a lie. I think I'm keeping the audio in because that seems fun, I guess. Right, we are rolling off to see who goes first. The deployment zone on this is actually remarkably small. Only being able to deploy up to 5 inches in, and then 5 inches either side of the center line. If we were running a lot of models, this is very restrictive. Anyway, as you see, we have the primary objective at the center. And then this, they're not actually secondary objectives. That's the wrong term. But you have to hold the central objective to score them, so it feels like primary and secondary objectives. Um, oh, right. So in the game, I'm reminding him, does he want to use a veteran move? He decides he will take a veteran move. Spends the 1 CP, and he's advancing. I point out that if he... I can't remember what the rule was, but if you advance in the veteran move, then you aren't able to charge. I can't remember how it goes. Anyway, he says it's fine because he's not going to charge. So doesn't matter. Never comes into play. We then go over to standard moves. He has the initiative, obviously. I don't know why it's obvious. I completely changed the battlefield with my clumsiness. Classic glass there, classic glass. Now he places himself there. This turns out later to be a particularly bad move. Because if we see my eliminator here, hard to tell, but he actually has a completely unobscured shot to him right there, which is a little bit crazy. I realize it doesn't look like my eliminator could see him at all, but he can. We're then going through the motions, the moves, if you will, the motions, the moves, and yeah. Right, I'm suddenly remembering why I wanted to speed the video up. You know what? I've decided I'm going to change it. I'm going to change the format. When I don't have anything interesting to say, I'm going to speed the format up. Yeah, I'm going to speed the video up. Cool. At this point, we're just actually okay because it's elites, and I think he didn't have the elite book, but I did. He had seen the elite or the Tyranid sub-faction rules, but he hadn't gone through the book properly. So I'm just, we're just having a rules chat, which really slows the game down, but needs to be done. He uses a tactic that allows him to move twice. I believe it's the metabolic overdrive. He rolls to see whether or not he takes a mortal wound. It's 3 inches to this piece of terrain and then 5 inches up. So, what does that mean? You need to have a minimum move of, what's it going to be? 3 plus 5, 8, 9 to get up there, really? So how did he end up there? Well, because he moved twice, obviously. Except we later remember that actually Metabolic Overdrive costs 2 CP. We fixed that soon enough. It's fine. Yeah, so as it stands at the moment, as we can see from the board, he is holding the middle objective and a second objective. Therefore, he will score 1 VP if nothing on the board changes. You might also notice that the camera is very slowly falling. That's about to occur in a very comical manner. So I'm trying to figure out what I want to do as it's my turn to move now. What exactly my Vanguard Veteran Sergeant wants to do. Don't forget he doesn't actually have... Oh, and it's fallen. And I fixed that. My Vanguard Veteran doesn't actually have the jetpack, or the jump pack, although it's modelled on him. Because I was too lazy to actually magnetize, I guess. So I'm at a little bit of a disadvantage here with terrain. I will also point out I set this terrain up, by the way. It's not like my opponent set this up to screw me over. I set up the terrain, then we rolled for the mission and placed the objectives where they naturally sat. For some reason I thought that the big piece of terrain right in the centre would be a good idea. It looks very thematic. This is all lovely painted terrain straight from the Kill Team style set. Looks great, definitely. However, that 3 inches to get to the central building, the wall, and then 5 inches up means that basically my guys can't get up there, or it takes them a turn. Luckily, my Vanguard vet manages to advance and get up there, just get up there. However, he has a pistol, so he won't be able to shoot it. So he's now on top of a building with 2 lictors. I don't really know what his plan is there. I move a Stern Guard veteran onto an objective, given the move token and the advance token there. Um, Most of my guys, I believe, end up moving. Some of them ready. Yeah, the two guys, the Stern Guard veteran sergeant and the Eliminator, ready up because they have a clear line of sight to. Well, the Eliminator has a clear line of sight to this lictor. At that point, we notice that he had to move back because the lictor couldn't actually have used Metabolic Overdrive to move twice because it costs 2 CP, as I mentioned earlier. I move my heavy with the grav amp over there, and I also move my Stone Guard vet. The intention obviously being to hopefully kill this lictor. It's an interesting notion, whether or not the lictor here would have been better off down here, um, just to secure kind of two objectives. But obviously you know, if he had done that and kept his lictor there, these guys would have been shooting at him every turn, probably would have gotten some hits off, but he would have been obscured. I think he would have, if he was right back here, he would have been over half. So the chances of actually hitting him, pretty slim. But in theory, I would have slowly peppered away. But instead, he's obviously positioning himself for a charge on the next turn. Okay, the Eliminator here is a sniper. He's shooting at this guy here. He's re-rolling ones. He's also auspexed, and I believe he's comms. So he's twos re-rolling ones. I do a brilliant thing and roll off the board, but I rolled a 5, so it's fine. Strength 4 against T4. I'm rolling on the board this time. I rolled a 6. Now that means a mortal wound. Oh, I'm using an execution around as well, by the way, which is still strength 4, but it's AP minus 2, damage D3. I roll 3 for the damage. Takes him to 0 wounds. And wrecked is the official term for that. Now that's a big hit, turn 1. He's a quarter of his team gone. One shot. So, the Eliminator paid for himself turn 1. Now, let's also point out that the lictor there was obscured. So, he was in a good position. He didn't do anything wrong with his positioning there. That was just luck of the dice. My Sternguard veteran sergeant missed with his shots. For those of you unaware, the special issue bolt gun is a lovely weapon for a mere it's 1 point, and it's 30-inch range, which means you're going to be rapid firing at 15 inches. Still strength 4, but you're AP minus 2. Really good. Anyway, that Sternguard veteran there ended up doing nothing, I believe. Double one it. Now we're fine with heavy grav amp into the lictor. I moved, and he's obscured, so I need 6s here. Because of the chameleon cloak from lictors, by the way. I rolled 1 6. Now the heavy grav amp isn't really the gun you want to be taking against lictors. Obviously, it's a marine killer, as if the enemy has a 3-up armor save, you are doing D3 damage. That's the point of the weapon. But it was my first time playing Adeptus Astartes, and I wanted to see how it would perform, so I took it regardless. So there's no shooting from him, which obviously is one of the big downsides to the lictors there. As my Vanguard veteran sergeant is just over 6, so I'm safe for turn 1. Whereas he has lost a lictor, which is a big deal. We go to turn 2, 2 extra CP, and nobody gets any victory points. I get initiative, which in this instance I was okay with, because I wanted to make this charge with my veteran sergeant. I roll a 3 on the charge, which I then spend a CP to re-roll, because damn. Then I get an 8, that's a bit more acceptable. I charged into both because my whole goal is to tie them up. And that relic blade, I think he's combat, so he gets 4 attacks with a relic blade, which is strength plus 2, AP minus 2, damage D3. He's a lictor killer potentially. That 6 was an advance from my Stoneguard veteran sergeant. I get him onto the point. The reason for that, I think, pretty obviously, is because I have to hold the point. Yeah. And my veteran sergeant, to get into combat to lock those 2 lictors down, um, had to have been outside of the 2 inches of the central point there. Then on objective 3 up there, I ready the heavy gravamp and the regular Sternguard vet, knowing they're going to be charged, but who knows? Who knows? The Eliminator was readied, and the other final Sternguard veteran, I believe, was also readied. We have a little bit of a struggle here, trying to figure out exactly what he needs to roll to get to within 1 inch of these 2 guys. So screw it, it's a friendly game. I moved the huge piece of terrain out of the way. There you go. Um, what can you do? That's the way friends play the game sometimes. I'm actually not paying a huge amount of attention here, by the way. I'm very much letting him decide what it is he needs to roll to get in. Because I trust him as a player. I don't think he's going to try and screw me over. So I just kind of say, yeah, okay. I just agree with whatever he decides. Because that's how it goes. So he finally declares the charge. Has to charge both. Chooses to charge both. My Sturgar veteran gets no Overwatch. My Gravamp gets 1 Overwatch. Uh, I use the Salamander reroll for the Overwatch phase. The movement phase. I hit. I wound with an AP minus 2. I rolled an injury roll, which was a 6, but I didn't need to because I forgot that elixirs have wounds. So he just takes 1 wound. He manages to make it in, which isn't great for my veterans. However, it's 1 against 2, so I'm still technically capturing that objective. And I've got my Sternguard vet over on this objective 2. And I have my sergeant, my leader there, capping the middle objective, which means if nothing else changes on the board, I will get 2 VP this turn. Of course, if he manages to kill one of my guys up on the top right objective there, that changes very quickly. So he is now rolling his flesh hooks against my Sternguard vet. He manages to get a wound, of which I fail both armor rolls. So he manages to kill my Sternguard vet before I get to use my sexy relic blade. Makes me pretty sad. Unfortunately, there was nothing I could do. So I put him back because he's considering re-rolling the successful kill. The idea being that he wants to kill him in the combat phase so that he could then consolidate into my sergeant. It's not a terrible idea, and actually it probably would work. 2 lictors against 1 marine with a single wound, he probably would get the kill. But anyway, he doesn't make the reroll, and he lets the death go through. It's one of those weird niche rules, but it is worth considering. You don't always want to get the kill in those shooting phases. My eliminator at the back there had been ready, but there was nobody to shoot, so that was a wasted turn. After doing so well on turn 1, I then wasted turn 2. To be honest, I probably should have been more aggressive with him. Or you could just look at it as this is a bad matchup for the Eliminator, and actually I should have swapped him out for a different model. Possibly a Reaver Sergeant to get those close combat hits. We are now doing the close combat over on the top right objective. Lictors are very unfortunately 2-3 rolling ones, I believe, which sucks. Salamander reroll, and he does nothing. Lovely. Salamander reroll saving my life multiple times in this game. Now, one of the great things about the Sternguard vets here is they get 2 attacks, which doesn't sound super, but compared to a regular Marine, I am so much less scared about getting into close combat with them. It's really useful. I use another Salamander reroll, which ends up doing nothing in that one. That's the way it goes. Still saves me a CP, which is great. So at the end of the phase, because I have my Sergeant capturing the middle objective, and I have uh, 1 guy on objective 2 and 2 guys on objective 3, I get 2 VP, which is pretty lucky. It could have gone very, very differently. I get the initiative, so I ready up. I ready my leader, knowing full well that he's going to be charged by 2 lictors. But what can you do? My sniper wants to advance up the wall, but he rolls a 1 for advance, can't make it. He then rolls a 2, still cannot make it. Very frustrating. I spent a CP to make that reroll. You can't Salamander reroll charge. That's for hit and wound rolls made by your own guys only. So, yeah. So I just move him up to the base of the wall, and he's advanced, so he can't fire the heavy weapon. Turn 3, wasted on the Eliminator again. I mean, don't get me wrong, he still made his points back on turn 1, hugely so, but honestly, for the rest of the game, I wasted him. Very frustrating. So I fall back with both of my Sternguard veterans, because as a general rule, not being in combat with a lictor, probably a good idea. Now this does mean that I'm not going to be holding the objective, and I don't move further than 6 inches, so he is still able to grasping tendrils, whatever it's called. Let's go with grasping tendrils. Their assault weapon. But I'm not in combat, so it's a win. So the guy up there is lurked, which means I think even though he's within half, I'd need 6s to hit him, even though I'm like an inch away, which is frustrating. Salamander reroll, but I reroll into a 1, which means that he gets his first lictor into my veteran sergeant there. He rolls a 6 on the advance and just legs it across the map. He's within capturing distance of objective 5 there, so if he manages to kill my sergeant, he will be capturing 2 objectives, which will put him on the same amount of VP as me from the last round there. Now, basically I need 6s to hit anyone, which is really frustrating, but I managed to get it, which is cheeky, I must say. Wounding on 4s, I get a 6, beautiful. I feel like I've stolen somebody else's dice. He takes a wound, thanks to the lovely AP -2 there. So the lictor is now down to a single wound, but it doesn't really matter, sadly. The 2 Sternguard veterans that fell back obviously can't shoot this turn. Can't they? Is that how the rules work? I think that's how the rules work. Yeah, it is. Cool. And I did fire with my Eliminator, but he only had a single shot and missed. So what can you do? And I make an armor save with a lovely 5-up. Delightful. We go to the combat. Now this could be a big swing. This is a combat lictor going into my veteran Sternguard sergeant. I double check the rules. The sergeant does only have a single wound, sadly, so this could be very painful for him. But no, being a sergeant only gives him one extra attack and one extra leadership, and access to the all specs for 1 point. He decides to do 2 attacks with Rending Claws, 1 attack with Grasping Talons, I believe. He hit me. I decide to re-roll using a CP, and I saved. Oh, then 2 attacks with Grasping Talons. Hits once, hits me with an AP -1, but I rolled a 4, so I saved it. Amazingly, I didn't die. I'm pretty sure statistically I very much should have. I get 3 attacks, double roll once, hit with a 3, re-roll with the Salamander, re-roll into a 1 again. I hit, I wound, no AP of course, it's just a regular attack. But he makes the save with a 6-up, so there you go. So effectively, nothing happened in the centre there, which means we are contesting it, nobody controls the centre, nobody scores any VP. Gosh, my commentary is very dry today, isn't it? I do apologise. What I might do is record a battle report with orcs and actually do an orc voice for the entire battle report. That'd be fun. I'd enjoy that. I might destroy my voice, like you wouldn't get another orc video, or video at all, full stop, for like the next 2 weeks as my voice recovered. But that would be fun. That'd be fun. This is, I'm kind of consolidating my opponent, saying, you really should have killed me with that Lictor. He rolled 2 1s on his attacks, you know? And Lictors hit on 2s. Crazy. Crazy. And we lament the fact that he has killed more of my guys with his flesh hooks. That's the word, flesh hooks. Um, than his actual close combat attacks, which is ridiculous. I point out that with his Lictor in the top right corner, he could charge me. He could charge me. Instead, he lurks, which means that I need 6s to hit him. Because even though he's in the open and I'm ballistic skill 3s, he's obscured, which takes me to 4s, and chameleonic scales the next have takes me to 5, and he lurks, which takes me to needing 6s to hit, which basically means I'm screwed. Especially sinking 18 points into my eliminator with a single shot. It's tough. It's tough. Although I do think that the Eliminator works really well, or any single shot weapon works really well with the Salamander's ability, subfaction ability, because you don't have to worry about spending that reroll. You're not wasting CP, you're using a reroll, it's great. So that you can mainly save your CP for Death Denied, basically. I opt to reroll, I don't want someone to die, but I reroll it into a 1. So it goes through, injury roll, super dead. He takes out my Sternguard vet. That's 2 dead. A very exciting moment happening in the background that you guys probably can't hear. We have a new guy that's turned up to our little kill team crew. Seems like he will become a regular player, which is pretty cool. Always good to have a bit more variety. I believe he runs guard and Chinese Colts, which means you guys on the channel hopefully will see a bit more guard and Colts. Very nice. Oh, so my Eliminator charged. The Lictor there, hoping to get in there, but I rolled a 3 on the charge, and he had to hop over this little wall, as he went nowhere. He didn't make it in, but he charged. Again, my Eliminator paid for his points turn 1, and then did nothing at all for the rest of the game. Go over to shooting. I can only hit a single model. I'm over half. It 6s anyway. But I also get a single shot, so that sucks a bit. But what can you do? He then gets to use his flesh hooks on both of my models because it's pistols. Sucks. Flesh hooks are so good, especially on lictors. Luckily, he gets a double miss. Phew. Because I really do need to keep my sergeant alive up there to stop him from scoring. Salamander reroll into a hit. Wound on falls, roll a 1. What can you do? But Salamander reroll, I reroll the wound again into a 1. Needless to say, I am really pumping hard those Salamander rerolls. They are paying for themselves. It's really good. I spend a CP to reroll an armor save. Reroll it from a 1 to a 2. Flesh wound. He spends a CP to reroll. Does he? And rerolls to a 3. 3 to a 3. Very close there. Very close. But my heavy stays in the game with a flesh wound. So my heavy charge, so he gets to attack the lictor first. Hits on 3s, gets a 6. Wounds on 4s, gets a 5. No AP. 5 up save with the lictor. Saved it. Saved it. Yep. As most times, I forget who's actually has initiative. I really should have some sort of counter or token that I drill myself into always passing over or pointing towards the player that has initiative. Because here, well, that's because I'm forgetful. There you go. Now, he makes a very odd choice here. He decides to attack the my heavy comms guy there as his first attack. I don't really know why, because my sergeant hadn't attacked. I think that was just a tactical error on my opponent's side there. Because of course my heavy's already attacked, so there's no reason to fight with him until right at the end. I opt to re-roll the armor save and I save it. Otherwise my heavy would have died, almost certainly, because that was a 2 damage attack. Then against my sergeant, hits, wounds, but I save. I return fire. By fire I mean attacks. 3 attacks, 2 hits. Wounding on 4s, 1 wound, 5 up save. Doesn't make it. So takes a wound. I would have had to have gotten super lucky there to kill that lictor. He now returns fire, 2 grasping talons, 1 hit. Wounds on 3s gets a 6, AP minus 1. I save with a 5 up. Easy. 2 rending claws. Hitting on 2, so he still gets a hit. Rolls a 1. He's rolling a lot of 1s this game. I point out that he should have killed my Sternguard Sergeant probably the first turn they were in combat, but at least the second. He has not. We are now at the end of turn 4, so we roll off to see if the game continues. We get a 5, and it does. Which of course is good for him, as I am on 2 VP, VP, yeah, he's on none. Down to his dice, honestly. He goes first in turn 5. Look at that Samsung product placement. Oh, Samsung, if you want to pay me, feel free. Now, with my Eliminator, I opt to charge both of the lictors. First the one up top and the one at the bottom. Just in case I roll a double, double 12. Why not? He cannot fire Overwatch with the guy on top, so there's no downside to me declaring charge against him. And of course, if I actually manage to, roll that 12 or whatever it is I needed to get all the way up there, that would be pretty awesome. I roll a 3. I roll a 3. I'm actually not 100% sure of the rules here. The enemy lictor is within 6, so I'm within range of his flesh hooks. But he's in combat. I decided that he could fire Overwatch on me. I'm actually not 100% sure on that, but he rolled it anyway, and he didn't hit me, so it was fine. We have Battle of the Pistols. up on the top there. Double flesh hooks against my single bolt pistol round. Making me wish I'd equipped a grav pistol or something. Grav pistol's really good. 1 point. Great weapon. I save his flesh hook attack. I shoot back with a bolt pistol and miss. Salamander reroll into a 6. That's what we like. And 1. Salamander reroll into a 4. It wounds. 5 up, he makes it. Bit disappointing, but that was, double salamander reroll, beautifully done. What can you do? Big hit. So my heavy down there actually managed to naturally get through the enemy elixir's defenses. Didn't need any salamander rerolls, any normal rerolls. And I managed to roll a 6 on the injury roll. Big issue. 4 rending claw attacks hitting on 2s gets 3 6s out of 4. Luckily that didn't wreck me too much. He gets 2 6s with and a 5. So it goes straight to an injury roll. Rolls a 2 on the injury. He doesn't have a CP to re-roll it. Big issue. The reason for that, I believe, is the lurk in the bottom right corner. Probably didn't need it statistically, but anyway, I attack back, 3 hits. A 1, a 2, and a 6. I get 1 wound. I salamander reroll to get 2 wounds at 6s there. I then spend a CP as well, hoping to get this kill, make it 3 wounds, but I reroll a 2 into a 1. So there you go. He saves one of the wounds. It was almost through to an injury roll. It would have been lovely. But there we go. Not quite. Not quite. We're almost at the end here. We roll a 5. We go to turn 6. And with only 30 seconds left, I don't know what happens here. We do the maths. My opponent realizes he cannot actually win. And concedes. The reason for that is that you have to hold the central, as mentioned. So one guy is there, and that doesn't get you any VP. And the second guy can only obviously hold one of the 4 objectives. Means turn 6 he can get a maximum of 1 VP. I have 2, and there you go. So anyway, to quickly round up. Okay, so turns out the way I formatted that episode changed a little bit after I realized that I didn't have 45 minutes of things to say. My bad. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed what was there. How did this go? Okay, so the fact that my Eliminator got that turn 1 kill just neutered my opponent, to be honest. And then also my opponent rolled like double 1s. He rolled way too many 1s. He needs new dice, I think. I genuinely think that this game was very much down to luck of the dice more than anything else. I think my opponent should have been much more effective in killing me. I think tactically what I did was correct. I don't think I screwed up, really. I fell back when I should have fallen back. I did what I did. I lost my veteran sergeant before he managed to make any attacks, which, while sucks, tactically kept my opponent off of the objective. So that was fine, I guess. And also is actually the winning move that allowed my Sternguard veteran sergeant to be on the objective uncontested and got me those 2 VP, which actually won me the game. So, I think I played it correctly. I also think I was at a huge disadvantage in this match. I didn't take the most optimal weapons and loadouts. Don't get me wrong, the Sternguard veteran sergeants, Sternguard veterans, sorry, with their special issue bolt guns, great choice, beautiful weapons. Probably shouldn't have taken the Eliminator. I don't think that was optimal. Definitely shouldn't have taken the heavy grav amp. Really, I should have swapped those out for something else. Don't know what, but something. But obviously, in the end, I won. But I do believe my win there was mainly due to the luck of the dice and, of course, the mission that we chose. If that had been another mission where you didn't have to control a central objective, would have been a very different game. Anyway, that was my first ever Elites game, not just on video, but just in general. I That was my first ever Elites game. I I I like what Adeptus Astartes have gotten out of Elites. I think they're a much more viable team now. Adeptus Astartes have always been long range. Now you not only have long range and you have more options with long range, but you also have the option for close combat and real close combat. Lightning claws, dirt cheap, really good. The Relic Blade is like a must take in any close combat list. You should prioritize the Relic Blade over any other option. It's 3 points and it's giving you strength +2, making you strength 6, obviously. AP -2, damage D3. You're practically a Grey Knight, except you're getting minimum 3 attacks if you're a combat 4 attacks. Great weapon, great weapon. Um, Obviously that didn't come across in this game because my veteran sergeant, my Vanguard veteran sergeant just got wrecked turn 1. That he was in combat. My bad. Is there anything else to say? Not really. I think that's about it. Anyway, yep. Adeptus Astartes, they're cool. I like what they are bringing to the table now. I'm actually quite excited for Imperial Guard, and I'm also quite excited for Drukhari. Hopefully, we will be seeing more of those 3 factions on the channel as I kind of break into them. I know that I'm planning to go through a whole rundown of Adeptus Astartes first, and then once I've done that, I'll move on, look at the other 2 factions I just mentioned, Drukhari and Imperial Guard. But anyway, this has probably been a far too long episode for what I had originally thought was going to be like a 2-minute battle report. My bad. What can you do? Is there anything else that needs to be said? I don't think so. I think that's the end of it. I would, however, like to know what you guys are finding. So, if you aren't in my Discord, drop a comment. I'm really interested in what you guys are doing. What elites has kind of sparked for you? Are you really excited for it, or is it nothing to you? Are you one of the few factions that got kind of shafted? And those factions very much are there. I think we all know who they are. But I will be doing videos about the losers of the elites book. Um, yeah, just talk to me because right, I need to know. I do not have enough time to play every single faction. I we as a community have just been given a whole dump of new things. I cannot play all these things. I need to absorb the information. I'm doing that as best I can in my Discord. I'm not talking that much in there, but I am reading through all of the threads, um, and I'm trying to learn everything I can, kind of passively. Um, so a big shout out to all of my Discord people that are actively talking in there. If you're not in there, get in there, have a read for yourself. In fact, you can actually just scroll back through the entire chat history. There's people much smarter and better players than I talking about how to play every single faction there. I'm not really plugging my Discord, by the way. I don't care about my Discord. I'm not monetizing it in any way. I'm it's a place for you guys more than me, I guess. So go there for kill team content that has nothing to do with me, really. But if you're not on Discord, and actually even if you are in my Discord, because hashtag give me that YouTube algorithm love. If you could drop comments telling me what factions you're excited by, what factions you're not excited by, etc., etc., that'd be cool. Anyway, that's Glass Half Dead. Done talking about his first ever game with Kill Team Elites. Okay, yeah. I hope you've all had a great day. I hope you continue to have a great day. And I will be back another day this week, probably, if not next week, talking about probably Adeptus Astartes. Or not. I don't know what I'm doing. I haven't recorded anything. Anyway, have a great day, guys. Goodbye.